Okay, so my workshop in Sicily has just concluded today. 8 days across the entire island, and I dropped the people off at the airport this morning and actually decided to then pick up a hire car and drive back to the other side of the island once again to talk to you about tonality. And I've come at this time of day on purpose. Let's get inside. So we're in a simple old farmhouse. There is a couple of other rooms, but actually this is the primary one. We've got these beautiful orange tones, we've got the views, the scenery, the sea, the greens, and of course, we're going to have sunset as well, actually, because I've come at the right time of day. On the outside, this place is nothing spectacular, but actually, just inside this one room, there is a lot of interest. Now, it's a little misshapen, I would say, and some of the framework has been taken away, but there's still a lot of texture, detail, and tonality on those walls. Now, bearing in mind, I've got to work quite quick because it's going to get darker in here, looking out to the sea. But there is these 3 windows that hopefully counteract that a little bit, although the sun is setting in said direction. I'm going to look for one main composition. I'm going to look for something with a tilt shift lens, 17mm. It's a small room, so I want to get some of this beautiful ceiling in above, and I've set up over here, as you just saw. And I just want to be able to capture like the essence of this space. That's the ultimate aim. But of course, I want to keep the tonality, the tones and the colours throughout the scene looking really special. This one-shot approach is something I used to do over the years. It's like more of an arty approach. I'm trying to target this one image to make it right. That's basically my aim. So the first thing, of course, is the time of day is really playing a huge part into trying to maintain these tones. I actually scouted this out about a week ago, before the trip actually took place with a group. We came here in the middle of the morning and there was sunlight bursting in to this space. Now that didn't look particularly pleasing, and of course would really help to push those tones in the image to be washed out, and that's not something that I'm looking for. It's not the look that I want to go for. I want this to be softer, but I want to be able to maintain the tones and pull the detail out of the wall. Shadows where they're supposed to be, and of course the orange tones on those walls, as you can see behind me here. So tonality is the balance between all of those things, the light, the dark, so that's the light and the shadow, of course, and then the mid-tones as well. And we're looking to maintain all of those. If a wall, for example, is blown out, it's going to wash those oranges out. It's going to make them more white, and that's not something I'm looking to do. So we've got to get the exposure spot on. If the shadows are crushed, of course, that's going to make some of the dark edges, the corners especially, very black, dark, or it's going to make the tones of the walls incredibly darker orange, not this beautiful tone that we've got here. Fine art photography isn't really about chasing tones and bright colours, although I do love my colour. It's all about maintaining those colours and actually being able to bring them out in post, so maintaining the tonality of the image. At midday, the light was harsh and horrid. That meant the walls were basically too bright. It was kind of hard to kind of maintain the details in them and in the space. The sea in the backdrop there washed out. It was very blue. The sky looked great, but actually it was a little bit too fake if you were going to sort of make a complete HDR out of that scene. It's not something that helps to maintain the tones internally. It makes it look a little bit gritty, let's say. We want the tones and the colours to feel natural, not forced, and that's the idea here. So with the right lens selection, with the right settings, bracketing the right way and combining it with the right time of day, we should be able to achieve all of those things. My choice of lens, I really had no choice, to be honest. It was the 17 or nothing because of the tight space. If you didn't have a tilt shift lens, you would need an ultra wide lens here, portrait orientation, flip this on, onto its side to be able to capture most of this detail. Or you could look to shoot from corner to corner. But I'm going to look for that straight on shot so I can see out to the sea nice and cleanly. So next up, I'm going to look to basically frame up using the tilt shift lens. Now I've actually popped it on the camera just here, and I've had to push it right back. I've actually pinned my legs as far up as I dare, to be honest, and then I've made sure that I'm getting my camera nice and level on this point, which goes without saying. Now, in terms of like the time of day, there is no better time. We are now at that point where I need to be photographing this space. Now, I'm going to bracket it. I'm going to take 5 brackets, and I'm going to start by looking at my brightest exposure. That's going to be 2 stops over. So I'm going to move my exposure reading to 2 stops over to check out the tones, and right now they are pretty good. I'd say they are even throughout. There's not harsh shadows. In fact, it's very soft in here, and the tones are maintained. So our brightest exposure, 2 over, is perfect. Now I'm going to look at our darkest exposure and rolling it back on the meter. That's going to show the outside space. Now, same thing applies. The town is lit up in the background, some of the clouds, and the sea is nice and soft. So again, our exposure meter being 1 stop apart, 0, +1, +2, -1, -2, it's going to be absolutely perfect for this space. So if I don't press the shutter now, I'm going to miss out on the shot because basically the lighting is now perfect. What I'm looking at here is balancing with the outside ambiance. So let's get it all shot. Let's get this photographed and get this image. So that looks perfect. I actually fine-tuned my composition a little bit just to make sure that the tiles were nice and straight here. I made sure that there was no light reflecting off those tiles, which of course earlier in the day they would have been. And I checked my composition once I'd shot it. I checked my exposure and my composition, should I say, to be able to make sure that the corners over there, left and right, are both exposed correctly. When it comes to editing then, I've got to then combine all of these together, those brackets we just captured, and there's some key components I can do in post to maintain tones and tonality throughout, and of course get nice rich colours too, which is what I prefer. But it's of course about being subtle. If you overdo it, and of course I've done that in the past, then you can start to wash out colours or get blacks too dark. You want to give the image atmosphere and a richness, but not make it look a little bit fake. Maybe you can try curve adjustments or boost in the contrast. We can look to do dehaze, and we could also potentially look at mostly the whites and the black sliders. Of course, making sure that your temperature and exposure are nailed too. So I just about timed this right. It's now completely dark. The tones are now dark and moody. We've got no colour in the walls at all. It's looking very, very dark. I've had to come over to the window to finish this video off. So that meant that my timing was great, and I'm glad it's paid off because it was a long drive back to this side of the island. That's it for this week. A pretty simple video, but actually probably one of 2 from here in Sicily. I'm going to do another one probably tomorrow that I'll publish, of course, in a couple of weeks' time. And actually, it's been a pleasure to have you along once more. If you've got any comments, leave them below. I hope you've enjoyed this image. And actually, to finish this video off, I'll put some more images on the screen from our week in Sicily. Some of the new locations that I photographed, and some of the old classics too.